Colonel Wyatt hits the screen, got stories bold and keen. Old soldier, sharp and mean, tells truths they've never seen. Rugby lover with a roar, Africa flowing in his core. YouTube rants they can't ignore, his passion makes his heart soar. Colonel Wyatt, hear his call, shining light through it all. Trolls may rise, but he'll stand tall. Subscribe now, don't miss the brawl. Military mind, keen and wise, truths come out, no disguise. South African skies in his eyes, hear his voice, no surprise. Retired soldier with the fight, in the dark he brings the light. Angry rants, truths ignite, join the cause, join the ride. Colonel Wyatt, hear his call, shining light through it all. Trolls may rise, but he'll stand tall. Subscribe now, don't miss the brawl. Enemies knocked on his door, trolls attack, but he's more with each click. Watch him soar on the truth waves, he explodes. Colonel Wyatt, hear his call, shining light through it all. Trolls may rise, but he'll stand tall. Subscribe now, don't miss the brawl. Right now, don't miss the brawl.
Take a picture.
Golden hair blazing in the sun's fierce light, a figure stands tall in the dead of night. Shadows crawl, but he doesn't sway, a sentinel guarding the break of day. Words like fire burn through the air, a defender of dreams and the world's despair. Facing storms with an unyielding grin, the fight for truth always starts within. Stand tall, golden hair in the wind. The tides may rise, but we won't give in. Through the chaos, a beacon so bright, leading us all to the edge of the fight. The world quakes as the battle ignites. Through the smoke, he's a vision of might. Foes gather aiming from every side, but he moves with purpose and endless pride. Try to break him with venom and lies, but he soared like an eagle, piercing the skies. A symbol of hope when the night is long, a melody rising, a defiant song. Stand tall, golden hair in the wind. The tides may rise, but we won't give in. Through the chaos, a beacon so bright, leading us all to the edge of the fight.
So now they're crying over toys. Toys made in China. They say tariffs will ruin Christmas. I say good. Maybe it's time your kids learn where things come from. Not everything shows up in a box with a smile. We gave China our factories. They gave us cheap junk. Now we take it back. And if a few kids miss out on plastic garbage this year, blame the deals you voted for.
I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hey folks, welcome back to the program. Good morning for those in Europe, Africa, and points further east. Good evening to those of you here on the East Coast and points further to the west in the continental United States and North America. Lots to talk about this morning, and unfortunately, very little of it good. Tragedy the world over. I hate to bring you tragedy so early in the morning, but let's start the program off with something brighter. Look what I'm wearing, my hoodie. And my hoodie says AB. Anybody have any idea what AB is? Andrea Bocelli. This is from my concert in Cape Town. And the reason I wore this tonight is because I have tragic news from Cape Town where someone has jumped off the roof of a hotel in Cape Town to commit suicide. Yeah, a hotel I just stayed at when I was there recently for the Cape Town Jazz Festival. Yep. Unbelievable. Central Business District down by the International Convention Center, right across the street from it. This is what happened. Man falls to his death from hotel's rooftop. No, he jumped to his death. The Hotel Sky, located adjacent to the Cape Town International Convention Center, and this is where the man took his life. Of course, there's a famous ride at the top of that, and it says a man fell to his death from the 28th floor of the Sky Hotel in Cape Town Monday afternoon. It took place near the hotel's Sky High Ride, a rooftop attraction offering panoramic views of Cape Town. Authorities are investigating circumstances, including reviewing security footage as the area remains cordoned off. This happened just before 4 p.m. I heard the impact. It was a loud bang, which closely mimicked a gunshot, said a responder. That is an image taken from the lobby of the Sky Hotel, where I was just at a couple of weeks ago. A staff member asked not to be named told News 24 the man had purchased a ticket for the ride and was given a pass to access the area. Another eyewitness stated in the corner of his eye, I saw a big object. I thought it was a bird until he hit the ground. Police cordoned off a section Lower Long Street just past Cape Town International Convention Center into the Central Business District. Investigators reviewing security footage. In a statement on Monday night, Hotel Sky Cape Town Managing Director Paul Kelly said they confirmed with deep sadness that a tragic and isolated incident occurred at the hotel today involving a walk-in visitor who tragically took his own life by jumping off the top of the hotel rooftop. We're devastated by this unexpected event, and our heartfelt condolences go out to the individual's family and loved ones during the time of profound loss. The Hotel Sky Cape Town would like to reiterate this unfortunately had nothing to do with the Sky High Ride. Remains safe and secure environment for all guests, and I can attest to that. It's very well protected. How this happened is puzzling, to say the least. This comes, of course, on the heels of my time in Pretoria for the Bulls game in which someone leaped from the top restaurant level at the Protea to their death at the Protea Park there next to Loftus Versfeld right after, well, as the Bulls game was wrapping up just a few weeks ago. Horrific that people feel the need to take their lives. Nothing is that unfortunate or sad, folks. No need to do that. That gentleman, apparently, the evening that occurred, had checked into the Protea with his family, his wife and kids, proceeded, after they got to the room, to the top-level restaurant, and then leapt to his death. When I arrived to go to the Mexican restaurant that night and meet up with a couple of friends, including MV Velman, who came to see me, when I arrived that evening, the Mexican restaurant staff recognized me. They know me from last year because I went there so often. So they treated me very well. But I sat outside and I asked what the police tape, why was there police tape and why were there a dozen police officers about 50 meters away from me below the roof of the Protea Hotel and restaurant, which I've been to many times. And the manager came out and she said to me, I saw it. I said, what do you mean you saw what? I saw the man fall to his death. But he didn't fall. I said, how does he fall off there? Because in order to land where he landed, he would have had to have leapt or jumped or had a running start. You couldn't fall straight down. He said, no, he leapt. So she watched him commit suicide. What a horrific thing to observe. Very difficult. Very sad to see such things. Hotel Sky in Cape Town, a fatality today, late in the afternoon. That would have been before I went live this morning when I was doing an interview. Crazy stuff. Well, snow is hitting South Africa. South Africans unaccustomed to snow. Well, guess what, folks? Will it be a white June? It is. The Eastern Cape gets nailed with snow, disruptive weather causing road closures and vehicle restrictions. Heavy snowfall, freezing temperatures, and icy conditions disrupting travel across the Eastern Cape today. Major routes, including R58 and the N9, are being closely monitored as traffic police also restrict access and regulate speed on these roads. Wow. The Joseph Kabe District municipalities advised non-essential staff to work from home today because of the heavy snowfall and freezing temperatures. Wow. Look at this. Look at this. Snow fell in the Eastern Cape and Northern Cape. This is something South Africans really not used to, this sort of thing. Here's the R58 Barkley Pass. Avoid overnight travel. On the N9 near Middelburg at Lutzberg towards Graaff-Reinet, the road is open, but traffic was slow. Oof, watch out for the snow out there, folks. Watch out for the snow. People like Shawnee and I, we know our snow. Minnesota and here a Midwestern veteran, we know our snow. And it's dangerous for everybody, but at least we have experience in it. A lot of you don't have experience in that weather. Please be careful out there. More tragic news. This one here about these idiots somehow allowing a 12 and 13-year-old to drive a motor vehicle, and they tragically murder a young child. And here's a photograph of the young boy who was killed in this idiotic accident. Please bring him back. Father prayed after 12-year-old driver allegedly kills his son. This isn't allegedly. It did happen. Malcolm Boyson, 14 years old, was killed after he was struck by a car driven by a 12-year-old boy in Brakpan on Saturday. Malcolm's family remembered him as a responsible, friendly, and ambitious boy with dreams of becoming a pastor. The 12-year-old is expected to appear in court on Monday. Quentin Boyson knelt beside his 14-year-old son Malcolm's lifeless body on Saturday and prayed, pleading to the heavens, God, please bring him back. He was killed after being struck by a car by a 12-year-old, driven by a 12-year-old boy. He'd only celebrated his 14th birthday just 6 days prior. The boy skipped a stop sign on the corner of North Dean and Medley Streets before running over Malcolm, then crashed the car into a fence. Boyce and his son were on the way home when Malcolm asked his father if he could greet his friends. He was on his blue scooter. I told him it was fine, and I followed him. I was a few meters away when I saw a speeding car skipping the stop street in the direction my son went. A few seconds later, I heard a very loud bang. I thought the car just sped past. I have caused an accident. He ran towards his son. He said, I had first aid training a few years ago, so my first instinct was put him on his side in case he had internal bleeding so he could breathe a little bit. I sat there and prayed that he would bring him back. Jeez. Unbelievable. City Erculini spokesperson Zuela Delamini told officers that they found a Mazda driven by a 12-year-old boy at the scene. Boyson said the boy's mother was also at the scene after her son was removed from the vehicle. She apologized and cried. I remember telling her that nothing they do or say would bring my child back. Jeez. Unbelievable. Who the hell allows keys to a motor vehicle to be available? It's like leaving a loaded gun around for a child. Nothing but tragedy. Now, more crazy tragedy here, folks, unfolding in Las Vegas Sunday evening. An absolutely horrific situation in which two social media content creators got into some sort of tiff and gave each other strikes on YouTube. One of them, who's from Las Vegas, Sin City Manny is the name he goes by. Where's my other? There it is. Sin City Manny. It's kind of warm here. Open this up. Actually, it's way too warm now. Sin City Manny, Manuel Ruiz, a 41-year-old with obviously some sort of childhood mental illness here that's affecting him, heard that his rival, now, as I understand it, these two YouTubers had a combined total of 16,000 subscribers, yet had some sort of dispute and were acting out like children online. So Manuel Ruiz heard that his nemesis was in Vegas. Apparently not from Vegas, drove around the strip looking for him and recording the video, looking for this guy, and eventually found him walking down the strip outside the Bellagio, and then pulled a firearm and shot him and I believe his wife or companion 7 times. 7 times in Las Vegas. Both did not die instantly. When paramedics arrived, they were treated on the scene and did die at the scene from grievous wounds. 2 dead in this Bellagio shooting. It's unbelievable. I put together a video, which I'll publish after this on the other channel, not on this channel. 2 people are dead and a suspect is in custody after shooting in the Vegas Strip Sunday night that appeared to stem from a conflict on social media, according to authorities. Officers were patrolling Las Vegas Boulevard around 10:40 when they heard gunfire coming from the west side of the street, according to Undersheriff Andrew Walsh. They ran to the gunfire and found 2 people suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. Medical personnel pronounced both people dead at the scene. They identified the suspect, who later turned himself in after a 10-hour manhunt, Manuel Ruiz. He'll be booked in the Clark County Detention Center on suspicion of 2 counts of open murder. Wow. And the Vegas station News 3 reached out to YouTube for comment about this, to Google. I don't think they're going to get any comment. It's in the New York Times, 2 killed in Vegas Strip shooting. Previously engaged in conflict over social media. The shooting was actually captured on video, folks. It was captured on video. I have the video, but I'm not going to show it here. You can find it on Twitter, because if I show it here, I'll get a strike, because YouTube is just evil, even though it's news. Wow. 10:40 in the evening. Horrific situation. Here's the bulletin issued by the Las Vegas Police Department prior to his apprehension. On June 8th, 2025, at approximately 10:40 LVMPD, that's Las Vegas Metro Police Department, officers were on routine patrol on the 3600 block of South Las Vegas Boulevard when they heard gunfire coming from the west side of the street. Immediately ran toward the area where the gunfire was heard and located 2 individuals suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. Medical personnel arrived and the 2 victims were pronounced dead at the scene. At this time, we believe this to be an isolated incident. A possible suspect has been identified. It's believed the suspect and the victims knew each other and had previously engaged in conflict over social media prior to the shooting. Ongoing investigation being led by the LVMPD Homicide Section. Identification of victims as well as the cause and manner of the death can be obtained from the Clark County Coroner's Office. Anyone with information about the incident is urged to contact the police. Yeah, wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, folks. Oof. So, geez, this is something else. Absolutely crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff. This is from a breaking news story in Las Vegas that was reported.
Tom, that's right. This is the exact spot where those shots rang out less than 24 hours ago. You see this spot on that live stream, which captured this shooting in real time. You see this famous sidewalk buzzing with people.
Yeah, let's turn that off. Let's turn that off. Put that on mute. You can't see it on camera. I've kept it off camera. Crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff. So this, of course, is a news channel. They're allowed to show these things, but the rest of us can't get away with that.
Taking shelter in a nearby hotel. Now, police tell us today that 41-year-old Manuel Ruiz turned himself into a Henderson police station. They say that this was an isolated incident that kicked off as a feud online, as a conflict on social media that tragically escalated, not yet identifying the victims. Tom.
All right, Ryan Chandler.
It's insane. Absolutely insane, folks. Wow. That's from NBC News. So, wow. It's just crazy world. And this from CNN.
At this point, we believe we have the suspect.
This is from the Las Vegas Police Department. They believe that they have to capture the guy here. Whoops, got one more camera up there I'm going to get rid of. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Whoops, that's the wrong one. I want the other one gone, not that one. That's the one I want gone. Here we go.
At this point, we believe we have the suspect identified and that this is an isolated incident, knowing that the suspect and the victim had previously engaged in some type of conflict using a variety of social media platforms.
The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police responded to a shooting on the Las Vegas Strip in Nevada. The deadly shooting was caught during a live stream in front of a casino.
That's the actual footage. I'm not going to show that. Yeah, so that happened on the Vegas Strip in front of the Bellagio. Well, that's it. Go ahead, tell everybody how to avoid the ads so I don't make any money on the channel. Let me say hello to everybody. So a suicide, a shooting. Now this comes on the heels, folks. If you remember a couple months ago, this Japanese young lady was knifed to death in Tokyo by a stalker who hunted her down. He traveled like 150 miles or something like that just to hunt her down. Found her on the street because she was live streaming in a famous part of Tokyo and stabbed her to death. We've seen other events like this. A journalist was killed several years ago. This is, people are always coming on, well, are you married? Do you have a family? Do you have children? Where do you live? What's your home? There's a reason why people use common sense and don't share such information as a social media content creator, because of lunatics like this and the behavior of people, doxing and putting people's lives in jeopardy. When some moron tells people that I work for the CIA with no evidence whatsoever, that puts me at risk because that jackass doesn't know what they're talking about. People do stupid things based on simple little things, and it's very much a risky situation. And the more we go on, the more we see this sort of thing happening, and people just want to pretend it doesn't happen. Dylan Combrick is here at the beginning. Welcome, Dylan. Good to see you. An OG. Peter Wick, Rebecca Chantel Fenter, Chris Stenner, Guy Spritz, Helen de Swart, Nita de Vos, Delana Villon. Welcome, Delana. How are you today? I hope you're doing better. And then Fight. No sleeping in a hospital, but being discharged today, so I'm happy camper. I'm sorry to hear that you're in the hospital, Delana. I didn't realize you're in the hospital. I hope you're doing better. Anton Els. Arctic is here. Hey, Arctic, you've been on vacation or busy flying for the past day or so. We missed you. Welcome back. Sailing, fishing, shooting adventures. Good morning to you. Jean S. or Jean S. Welcome to you. Yeah. Marnus Rousseau. Good evening to you. Battalion of 500 U.S. Marines are mobilized in Los Angeles. Actually, I think it's 700, but thank you. And I just need to wake up early, says Nita. Son's school bus leaves. That's a very early time for a school bus leaving, 6 a.m. Wow. You must be living in North Dakota. Freezing morning, says Amanda. Rob Dusselaire, welcome to you. Gary Wild. Hello, Gary. What's going on? And then who else we got here? Freya Dutoy, welcome to you. Mandy van Rooyen and Anton Els. Shawnee Groves is here. Petrus van der Linde. And Rainier Brits, good morning and evening, our legend Colonel, fellow viewers. Hope you're all well. Love your music, Colonel. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Freya Dutoy, welcome to you. Odin's Vikings is back. Inkwell Odyssey. Chantel. That's this. Living on a farm in 2004 attack, and now with all the farm attacks, it gets some of us can't even sleep in peace anymore. No, I got you, Helen. Elmarie Mayer, welcome to you. CB's back. Hey, CB, what's going on? Urban Homestead. Chilly Northern KZN. Okay. All right. Yeah, the car guards are here tonight. It's good to see that. Tom Poltney, welcome to you. Mental Chewing Gum. Osso Duro. Never the answer. What's never the answer? Okay. Ask for help. Please don't be afraid. There are lots of helplines. Yes, Delina, absolutely right. Absolutely right. No, sadly, I've been around suicide, unfortunately. It's a horrific thing, and it can scar survivors for life. It's really sad. And Anthony, welcome to you. And then Willem Janssen van Rensburg, Konrad Geldenhuis, Grete Hart. Okay, who else we got here? And then Wendy V. Okay, and who else we got there? Shack Dweller's back. How you doing, Shack Dweller? Good to see you again. And vacation, what's that? Can I drink it? Vacation to me is the not the Bengals, it's the Go-Go's, Vacation, all I ever needed. Vacation, how do I get away? 1981, Vacation, or 82. Top 10 is here. Welcome to you. Welcome back. This is Casey Kasem with America's Top 10. And a long-distance call-out is for Chantel, somewhere in KwaZulu-Natal. And this is coming to you, Barry White, long-distance dedication from Emil in the Congo. Found calmness from the wide world in the woods today. Oh, the woods are awesome. Nice place to get calm. Okay, and Ella Badenhorst. Yeah, suicide is never the answer. You are correct. It's never the answer. Okay, Klaus Ulrich, welcome to you. Rowan Lombard. Okay, cool beans, folks. Well, we've done enough of murder, death, kill. That's enough of murder, death, kill for tonight. We've done suicide. We've done homicide by car. We've done homicide by firearm in the Las Vegas Strip, which is a very, very safe place to actually be, folks. If you've been to Las Vegas, the Strip is one of the safest places you're ever going to be. Almost never any violent crime takes place there because it's constantly under surveillance, lots of cameras, lots of people moving around at all hours of the day, 24 hours a day. And the worst you're ever going to usually see there is some idiot smoking weed illegally, around your children, and maybe pickpockets. That's about it. Yeah. But what a horrific situation. But let's take our attention away from murder, death, kill to those who want to murder, death, kill. That would be the Chinese communists, who are now violating international norms, putting aircraft carriers in Japanese waters, violating their territorial sovereignty, upping the ante here. It's time to send the Chinese communists a serious message. They do this when they want to have a conversation with the United States about trade, and then they threaten the safety and security of East Asia with their nonsense. The communists are the world's greatest threat after Iran, and they need to be dealt with. They need to be dealt with. And it is time for pussyfooting to end. It is time to take action against these clowns because they are dangerous, dangerous. Chinese aircraft carrier group enters waters near Japan's easternmost island. The Lion carrier, accompanied by 2 missile destroyers and supply ship, entered Japan's exclusive economic zone before exiting to conduct military drills. Chinese aircraft carrier has entered an area of Japan's territorial waters for the first time. Chief Cabinet Secretary of Japan, Yoshimasa Hayashi, did not say if the government had lodged a formal protest, saying only that it conveyed an appropriate message to the Chinese side. I think an appropriate message to a Chinese aircraft carrier is a Exocet missile. That would be an appropriate answer, an Exocet missile. Oops, we hit fire by mistake. We were doing a training exercise. What are you doing in our training waters? Oops, sorry, your aircraft carrier is there. Bloop, 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 as it goes down. How the Group 59 holding out as of late? Well, we're going to have Thea on later today, most likely. I have to look and see what the last thing I heard from her. Come on, where she's at. Yep. She's not sure. Maybe sometime. It'll be very late for you guys, so I'm not sure if I'll record it or do it live because it's going to be after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard, which would be after 10 in South Africa. So I might just record it. We'll see. I don't know. It's up to Thea what she wants to do. But Thea's going to come on the program, and she's got a lot of good news. Having been here just 3 weeks, she has a Social Security number. She has a high-paying, well-paying job. She has a car, much newer than my car, and she has a place to live. Things are going very well for her. And life as a car guard is pretty good. She's doing quite well as a car guard. I understand that she's mostly guarding, Lamborghinis and, Alfa Romeos and things like that. Yep. Now, the media frenzy is blown over, but it's not finished, Stefan. And the reason it's blown over is because the number of people now flying into the United States under the refugee program is unknown to the media, and they have nothing to say about it because if they actually knew the number of people actually arriving, they would wet their pants. Yep. No, the entire episode was media-driven, and the first people who came over knew they were going to be victims of this hysteria. Yep. Yeah, card guard duty is working pretty well for most of us here in the U.S., says Arctic. Watch interesting interview from Frester from Ghana saying Ronald Reagan back then mentioned ANC being close to communists. Well, yes, the ANC is communist-inspired. They couldn't get help from the West, so they turned where they could get it. And they got it from Cuba. They got it from the German Democratic Republic, which wasn't democratic. They got it from Moscow, and they got it from Beijing. So understandable they went that direction, but media never focuses on the one thing too long. That's true. Well, look, they've already moved on from Donald Trump and Elon Musk tiff. They've already kissed and made up. Elon, after whatever was going on with him, deleted all those text messages and those messages on Twitter, and they've kissed and made up. So, yeah. There is no game at Loftus, Arctic. The game is in Dublin. I'd love to go to Dublin, but, man, just don't have the kind of cash sitting around. But Dublin would be fantastic. Plus, I probably can't get a ticket for it. So, anyway, that game is in Dublin this weekend. It's already Tuesday, so it's a bit late for me to fly. If I got a ticket, it would have to be a Thursday ticket to land on Friday and then be fresh for the game on Saturday. So, yeah, the game is not at Loftus. The game is in Dublin. And I'd love to go to Dublin. I haven't been to Dublin in a long time. But, if I was rich, like some people that I know, I'd be able to just pull that off. But that's just not something I can do on a short notice. If possible, would appreciate if you can record. Record what, Natasha? The interview? With yeah, of course it'll be recorded. Make a T-shirt. Okay. You can get a ticket. Summer travel has been very quiet. Has it now? Well, let me just take a look and see. So let me see what a ticket's going to cost me. I'll just do this now. So okay, we'll go from MDT to Dublin. Let's see. MDT to Dublin. Flights to Dublin. That can't be right. August, of course, that's not going to work. August is way too far down the road. Let's go back to June. June. Oh, this says I can't even. Oh, what day is this? 9th. So I fly on the, let's say the 12th, okay, and come back on the 16th, on Monday, okay. Let's see. All right, show flights. Whew, yeah. Oh, sure. Cheap my ass. $1,700. What world you're living in? 9 hours to go to Dublin. Why is it 9 hours to go to Dublin? It's only a 6-hour flight. What the hell? It's MDT to Dublin, 9 hours, and an hour and 20 minutes sitting at Dulles, or 15 hours for 6 hours sitting in Atlanta. Good Lord. See, what I don't like about these flight finders is you can't just go Dublin to the United States, you know, because I know they'll. Well, let me do Boston. Let me do that. Boston, okay. Boston. That's Logan. Logan International Airport. Let's check that out. Okay, now that's 6 hours, Aer Lingus, and it's $1,300, Aer Lingus. So I can fly from here to Boston, but that's 6 hours. That's, yeah, it's more like it. So, yeah. So why doesn't it just do that? You know, get me from here to, I guess that's just Google. So, yeah. Air France, Boston to Dublin, 10 hours. Scandinavian, 35 hours to get to Dublin. One stop for 25 hours in CPH. That's Copenhagen. Good Lord. Yeah, $1,700. Yep. Yes, that would be exciting impromptu. Middletown to Dublin. Yes, it's not Middletown. It's just it's Harrisburg. MDT is the Middletown. It's the symbol. Yep. Yeah. So the cheapest is Delta, but that's I got to get to Boston, and to get to Boston, I have to pay a few $100 to get there. So it's still going to come out the same. But if I arrange it this way, I could do it easier myself. If I leave from Boston on Delta at 11:35 at night and get there 10:45 in the morning on Friday. Yeah, and that's $1,116. Yeah, then there's Aer Lingus. I've never flown Aer Lingus. JetBlue flies to Boston or to Dublin? I had no idea. JetBlue, I'm a shareholder, and they fly to Dublin in 6 hours and 10 minutes. Nonstop. There you go. Wow. Sending greetings to you, and I'll apologize for being absent lately. It's dealing with some health issues. I'm sorry to hear about your health issues. Several people have health issues, have been sending me messages there. Yeah, anyone been interviewed after filling out the statement of interest? No, Arno. Nobody wants to come on and become a target for people in South Africa. But I have talked to people who've been interviewed since doing a statement of interest. Yeah. I had no idea. Well, no, this is from Boston, not from JFK, Arctic. That's what I'm saying. I had no idea they flew to Dublin from JFK or from Boston. This is from Logan, not from JFK. So let me see what it costs to go to. Let's see. So I'm going to want to come back. Let's go from MDT to Logan. Boston Logan. There we go. Why does it keep picking July? I don't want July. June 12th. Come back to 16th. Okay, done. Okay, show flights. Let's see what comes up in that. It's $600 to fly from here to Boston. That's insane. That's insane. That's $150, $200 flight in South Africa. That's insane. Or I could take the train. It takes 7 hours, 12 minutes. Yeah, this isn't doable. Not doable, folks. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Anyway, not going to happen. Yeah, the ticket's a game, place to stay. Yeah, well, place to stay for 4 nights is going to be pricey, particularly this late in the game. Yep. It is highway robbery. Yep, $1,700 to fly up to Dublin. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yep, I'm not going to do that. Yep. I'm not wasting my points to go there for this game to watch the Bulls lose. And if they win, I'll be one of 15 people cheering them on. Yay! The rest of Dublin will be crying in their beer. Yeah. Yeah, the tickets aren't that expensive. That's not the biggest problem. Boy, it's warm in here. Is it just me? Whew. It says 21, but I feel very warm tonight. Try flying in from Canada. Yeah, I could do that. Let's see what it goes from. What is it, Pearson? Pearson to Dublin. Okay, let's see. Let's pick a date. Let's go from Pearson Airport. Isn't it interesting how I know all these airports? Why won't let me go? Oh, there we go. June, okay. June 12th, come back the 16th. Okay, let's see what we get now. Look at that. Now, what sucks is we used to have, oh God bless, used to have Air Canada here because it's an international airport, but they don't fly out of Harrisburg anymore. That sucks. When I went to Northern Ireland in 2017, the Women's Rugby World Cup, I took Air Canada, and I flew from here, and they let you have 2 bags as a military member, whether U.S. or Canadian. And so I flew from here to Pearson and Pearson over to Belfast. So $674 from Toronto to Dublin. Non-stop. It's only 35 minutes longer. Wow. That's Aer Lingus, $674. So let me see how I get to Pearson now. MDT to Pearson, because it used to be a direct flight. It used to be cheap. Okay. It says there's flights, but I don't think so. Okay, let's try this. Boy, the trouble you have to go through just to sort stuff out and come back on the 16th. Okay. Okay. $868 on American. It takes 5 hours. It's only an hour and a half flight. Yikes. Yeah, but Toronto is a freaking 17-hour drive from here. Too bad I don't have a paid job with a rugby. No kidding. God bless, I'm cooking in here. What is going on tonight? Is it the change? Am I going through a change of life? Whew. What is going on? Suddenly I'm cooking. I guess I'm getting all excited about the freaking... Getting all excited about the freaking rugby. What? The Bulls are going to win for sure. Okay, Conrad, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Amanda Lowe. No, look at this. You're trying to get over free here. I'm having nice coffee. It's not cooling me off. Yeah, the change of life. Oof, there you go. Menopause. That's right. Menopause. Oof, man. Cooking here. Who's checking email every 15 minutes? Not me. Leftist Canada might scoop you up for being a right-wing podcaster. The Maple Marxist. Yeah. Let's take a bet. No, you're trying to get the beard shaved on the cheap here. The deal was 100,000 subscribers in South Africa. Never happened. But I still trimmed up the beard. Look at that. Trimmed it up, shortened it. This is the lowest it's been in a few years. And then, of course, got a haircut. Set an aircon remote. No, the aircon's not kicking on tonight for some reason. It was freezing here. I bet you if I walk outside, I'll walk back in to appreciate how cold it is. I don't have my socks on, Shawnee. Yes, I've got hot flashes, Ingrid. Having hot flashes. Anyway, enough of the checking for flights I'm never going to take. Okay. A Chinese aircraft carrier. Yeah, here it is. Taipei Times reporting on it as well. Taipei Times says Chinese aircraft carrier entered Japan's economic waters over the weekend. Wow. They had fighter jets. Chinese aircraft carrier Liaoning carries out a dual aircraft carrier formation exercise with the Shandong aircraft carrier. Unseen. Wow. Man, that photo's from the South China Sea last year, so not actually what happened this weekend. Well, the U.S. and China are holding trade talks, in London after Trump's phone call with Xi Jinping. So Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, found his way over to meet with Vice Premier He Lifeng. Chinese delegation led by Vice Premier He Lifeng held talks with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Trade Representative Jameson Greer at Lancaster House. Well, there you go. So what's going to happen there? Barefoot streaming scandalous. Well, if I don't barefoot stream, how can I do Calfoot Soki? Well, Zelensky's upset. The grifter-in-chief isn't getting what he expected. 20,000 missiles that were promised to Ukraine by the Biden regime are now going to the Middle East. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told ABC News' Martha Raddatz that his defense minister told him Friday the U.S. is sending anti-drone weapons promised to Ukraine to the Middle East. Zelensky said the U.S. would divert 20,000 missiles earmarked for Ukraine in agreement with the Biden regime to the Middle East, where it appears the U.S. would use them for its own force protection. Without the help of the United States, we will have more losses, he told Raddatz. The reallocation comes as Russia pounds Ukraine with drone offensive and after Ukraine struck deep inside Russia with its own drones last week. Overnight, Russia launched 479 drones and 20 missiles in Ukraine in an attack the Ukrainian Air Force called an absolute record for Russian aerial offensive. Pentagon declined to confirm the assets are being redirected to the Middle East. There he is, the grifter in chief. There he is, one of the most notorious dictators of the 21st century. Yeah, I joined a video on YouTube, an aircraft carrier taking off vertically in the sea and flying away. Yeah, that's funny. Check the weather, and no wonder I feel cold in Durban. Temperature 9 degrees feels like 7. Oh, that's nice, 7 degrees. I love that weather. The Italians were supposed to have a referendum on citizenship, but low voter turnout. Interesting. Referendum in Italy on easing citizenship rules and enhancing workers' rights has been declared invalid. Just 30% of voters participated, well short of the 50% threshold required to make the vote binding. So the ballot featured 5 questions covering different issues, including a proposal to have half the time an individual to cut it in half has to live in Italy before they can apply for citizenship from 10 to 5 years. Referendum was initiated by a citizens' initiative and supported by civil society groups and trade unions, all of whom campaigned for the yes vote. For them, the outcome, which saw turnout levels as low as 22% in places like Sicily and Calabria, will come as a blow. Good. Francesca Harbor's here and gave a $10 super chat. Wow, I didn't know we were getting super chats tonight. Last week, Maloney announced she would boycott the vote, declaring Italy's existing citizenship law as excellent and very open. Yep. So, trade unions, of course, want to let illegal aliens become citizens much faster. Yep, U.S. Open Golf is in Pennsylvania this week, a bit west. U.S. Open is not in Pennsylvania. What are you talking about? The U.S. Open is held elsewhere. Not much happening. There's a lot happening in the middle. This is where it's all happening in the middle. Marines are deploying to Los Angeles, folks, to deal with the nonsense going on there. 700 dispatch protect federal personnel and property over the objections of gruesome Gavin Newsom. Roughly 700 Marines deploying to Los Angeles to protect federal buildings and personnel in the wake of protests over illegal immigrants that have already led President Trump to federalize National Guard troops. Troops which are assigned to 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division, and 29 Palms will not engage with protesters. Senior administration officials told reporters on Monday evening that the move came in light of increased threats against federal officers and federal buildings. It marks the first time in more than 3 decades that Marines have been sent into a U.S. city to address civil unrest. That's actually not what they're going in. They're going in to protect federal property, which didn't happen when it should have happened in 2020. Trump travel ban barring citizens from 12 countries goes into effect. There you go. It's now in effect. His travel ban to the U.S. by citizens of a dozen countries went into effect at midnight Monday. And they're all crying over it. U.S. deploying Marines, already covered that. Marines deploying to L.A., wake of protest. And Disney will pay NBC Universal $438 million for Hulu, a stake in Hulu. They're not even getting the whole thing. The agreement ends arbitration begun after Disney and Comcast struck a deal for that stake. Disney has reached a deal with Comcast, NBC Universal, to settle a long-running dispute over the fair value for Hulu, paying an additional $438 million to buy out its rival stake. The June agreement puts the value of Comcast's 33% stake in the streaming service at $9 billion. So they're going to say it's worth $27 billion. Hulu is a sucky platform, that are a bunch of lying scumbags. I have a Hulu account, and I used to pay for the service. I paid them $4.99 for no ads. Then they upped my price to $7.99, and they stuck ads in. It was supposed to be a premium service, no ads. And my account was hacked multiple times because of their lack of security. And so I went in and people were watching anime. I don't watch anime. And so what a mess that was. And so I finally just canceled my Hulu account because it's just a bunch of scumbags. Courtney McBride, I left LA in the state of California. Best decision I ever made. Well, I'm with you on that one. Can I ask a stupid question? What rights do the law enforcement Marines have against these illegal aliens shoving and pushing them around and throwing stones? Well, Delaney, it's a good question. So everyone has a right for the use of deadly force to save life and limb and even protect property. So, but it has to be appropriate deadly force. So you got to be very careful there. But if someone invades your home, normally you can shoot them. Depends where you're at. Some people have the castle doctrine. So deadly force in order to protect life and limb is something that's defendable and is protected. So what right do they have? I mean, I don't know what rights they have. They have the right to enforce the law. If someone's jeopardizing federal property and or the lives of federal officials and troops, they have the right to engage them. And they can do that. Portland's got some protest, okay. 6:45 a.m. here, and already it's 25 degrees. Oof, where's that at, Ann? That sounds like freaking Dubai. It's not a stupid question. I didn't realize Hulu still exists. Yeah, Hulu sucks. And they're telling us it's worth $27 billion. I might as well make my own streaming network and claim it's worth something. Get money, get somebody to buy it out. 9 degrees is pretty warm, like our weekend weather. Had a hot, dry, yeah, 9 degrees is warm. Now I'm cool. That was just a momentary thing. I guess I got all excited about the rugby. Now I'm freezing. I'm going to put the fucking hoodie back on. Yep. Anyway, Biden once considered Karen Bass to be his running mate. Karen Bass. Good God. She should be in prison. Karen Bass ought to be in jail, man. Ought to be in jail. Dangerous, dangerous clown. I think all is just fed up and want the bad people behind bars. Agreed. You have any new business ideas for yourself? Who, me? Yeah, I've got a few business ideas. Yeah. None of them involve cocaine. Ride the white horse. No, drugs, not my scene. Not my scene. That's one you'll know that there's a setup. If you ever hear that I was pulled over for, driving while under the influence, you'll know that's a setup. Because that's just a rule I don't break. That's just a rule I don't break. So you know it's all bogus. Celia Labaskakny, welcome to you. And Werner Kurtzik, good morning. How are you folks doing out there? Boy, these nighttime audiences are shrinking. Let's see what happens at the top of the hour as we hit 6 a.m. if more people join us. But 196 people that have been here this morning. Wow. A lot lower than we usually have. I think the interest, the bloom is wearing off the rose. A lot of people say, oh, Chris, we'll be with you always. We'll watch all your programs. We love your streams. Yeah, you got your answers about your pets, and now you've just moved on. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Or they will know you tried to outdrink me. Nah. Burning the flag should be considered treason, not freedom of speech. It's definitely something. Utah Warriors on fire still believe they can pounce on a team in the Curry Cup. Celia Labaskakny, hello to you. Chris Herbst and Marcel, to the end. What's that? To infinity and beyond? Is that what we're talking about? Gosh, the collar is not staying up. It really driving me nuts here. Okay. Raven Von Croy, that's an interesting name. Hello to you. The riots need to stay in California. Yeah, they do. But there is a plan to spread the riots to other metropolitan areas. The left is trying to spread the chaos. It'll be up to the Trump administration to stop them. Hey, Peter, yeah, please hit the like button. Just 123 likes? What's going on there, folks? What's going on there? So I made a video last night. I don't know if you guys saw it. Not many people did. Not many people did. See, when I do good news stories, people just don't watch it. They just don't watch videos, Oh, but Chris, do something positive. I do positive things all the time, and people just don't watch them. Yep, so here you go. So this is something, I'll show you a little bit of this one I did last night. I just felt compelled to do this for some reason, so I made this video last night. Hey folks, this is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Life goes by so quickly. Things happen so fast. Oftentimes we don't take a moment and smell the roses or enjoy the coffee. So I just had a conversation with someone in the Netherlands about South Africa, and it just brought home to mind a few things I'd like to say to South Africa. A lot of folks have really been very kind to me over the past 5 years that I've been broadcasting and focusing on events in South Africa and in Africa in general. And I just want to say thank you very much. The hospitality of South Africans has been amazing, but this video is not really about South Africans specifically, but about Afrikaners specifically. And I want to say bye-bye donkey to all the Afrikaners I've interacted with over the past 5 years in South Africa, around the world, whether I met you in the UK or here in the United States or elsewhere. And from the bottom of my heart, I really want to say thank you so much. It's been a true privilege to interact with you. And also the hospitality of Afrikaners in South Africa itself. It's just truly amazing and wonderful. I can honestly say that the number of bad experiences I've had have been, I'd have to think very hard to think which bad experiences I've had with Afrikaners over the past 5 years. Now, a lot of people look at me as somebody that... Anyway, so I put that up earlier, so not a lot of views on it. Got one dislike. Wow, 708 likes, one dislike. There's always a hate wanker out there somewhere. Anyway, so question is from Chris Harps, how was it like to work for intelligence? What was it like? Well, that's a difficult question to answer because I worked in the intelligence field for so long, and I worked at so many different levels, at the tactical, at the operational, and strategic level. I worked in Army intelligence. I worked with unified intelligence. I worked with all the major intelligence agencies, foreign intelligence agencies. I did tactical intelligence, strategic intelligence, counterintelligence, signals intelligence, and sometimes it's quite boring work. I was an intelligence analyst who did analysis and wrote reports and did presentations and briefed senior officials. I was a tactical intelligence officer briefing commanders in combat and in peacetime. And I also did all sorts of other things in intelligence. Sometimes it's very exciting, but it's not all Jason Bourne, which is what a lot of people seem to think it is. So I enjoyed it, or I wouldn't have stayed and done it. But it was interesting. I never did finish this question. I was interviewed earlier today by that gentleman, Johan Allers, in the Netherlands, and he asked me about this, but I never really got back to answer this question because I got off on a tangent about some intelligence work I did. So it was interesting. Karen says, nice video. You're right. People don't say thank you or go out of the way to speak to someone's supervisor to tell them about good service, but people here love to complain. Yeah, thank you, Karen. I was just trying to thank people for their hospitality and their friendship. The Dutch should be more concerned over the fate of Afrikaners. I agree, but the Dutch are too woke. Chantel can't be on time all the time. She got a 5-year-old. Keep her going. Is the LA issue illegal immigrants and the illegal... Chris Kruger, the issue is illegals who are being booted out of the country and people demanding that they have a right to be here. They don't. They don't. And people facilitating the violation of federal law and the government tolerating it. It's time to start putting these people in jail for their actions. Chris says Johan Ehlers is a snake. Okay. I don't know that. Can imagine the liberal culture of Amsterdam going over well in a place like Oranje. It doesn't go over well in central Pennsylvania. Chris Harrop says, wow, you've been around the block. Yeah, I worked at the National Security Agency where I ran a $3 billion program as chief of staff, a global program with a workforce of, what do we have, 8,000 or something like that. And I've worked at the Defense Intelligence Agency where I wrote 1,200 intelligence products in less than 3 years, including 9 presidential data briefs for the President of the United States. That was pretty cool. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he said, I imagine you worked in intelligence all over Africa. Ironically, most of what I did in Africa wasn't intelligence work. Most of it was not intelligence work. I went off and did an intelligence assignment between tours in Africa. Most of what I did in Africa was security cooperation, security assistance, helping foreign militaries develop professionalism, did some peacekeeping, things like that. So, yeah, it wasn't much in the way of intelligence work when I was in Africa. So it's interesting. But, it's interesting because from my perspective, the Army doesn't really train you all that well to be an intelligence professional, in my view. Maybe it's changed since I was a young officer, but we were given the bare bones essentials and explained what the intelligence process is, how you do intelligence collection, briefly, and then a little bit about the threat, which was Soviet and North Korean threat at the time, and that was just kind of a baseline. And that was just a few weeks of the course. The rest of the course, over half the course, was devoted to learning U.S. Army tactics and doctrine. So when I got to an armor battalion, I knew doctrine better than most of the officers because they were trained at the company level, and we had learned company, battalion, and brigade level operations and division as an intelligence officer. And people are like, why would you spend all your time learning the U.S.? Well, if you don't understand how your side operates, how could you possibly protect them? And that's the goal of intelligence, is to protect and see events and threats in advance. Predictive analysis, that's the idea. So in order to do that, you have to understand what your own strengths and weaknesses are. So I was better prepared for understanding U.S. doctrine than most of my peers. Now, the more senior officers understood it because they had the experience, but my peers who were lieutenants and captains didn't know those things because they hadn't been taught that as an infantry officer, as an armor officer. They were taught company-level tactics for the most part. Listen to early in the morning, think of Americans I met and his friends. They're all awesome, just as it seems you are. Thanks for what you do for us. Well, you're welcome there, expat family Joubert. Okay. Yeah, so... Heidi Kruger, my experience with almost every single Dutch person I ever met is way woke. And I've been to the Netherlands dozens of times, and I met the Dutch all over Europe because they travel more than anyone except the Germans. Yeah, so South African government has no intelligence. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, so no, it was I enjoyed my time. I only left the Army because I didn't have a choice. You only get to stay so many years. Either you age out or you age out based on your rank, and or you age out based on the maximum years. The maximum years you can serve in the Army is 30 years, unless you're approved by Congress, which is a very small number of people who are all general officers. The reason I got past 30 years is my enlisted time didn't count against my what's going on with my neck there? It looks really weird there. There we go. It's just a shadow. My enlisted time didn't count because it's a different status. So I had 6 years plus of enlisted time, and then I wound up having 36 and a half years. So, yep. Risk shows the Democratic Party, who are a terrorist organization, don't understand how they're not banned in the U.S. Well, Buster, it's hard to prove that, but in a court of law. Francesca says, I appreciate all you do for the Afrikaners. Well, you're very welcome, Francesca. Thank you for the super chat. I was thinking back to my time in the Boy Scouts. Lots of memorable experiences from those days. Sadly, the scouting organization was part. Yeah, no, the Scouts are gone. They've been destroyed. They've absolutely been destroyed. There are no Scouts. Robert Baden-Powell would be rolling over in his grave if he saw what happened to the Boy Scouts of America. Between the sexual perversion and then the lawsuit so that girls can be part of the Boy Scouts, it makes no sense. Boys and girls are different. They're wired differently. They mature differently. Girls mature faster. And they should not be in the same groups. Now, what the Scouts say is that the girls are separate from the boys, but why do you need Girl Scouts in the Boy Scouts? You have Girl Scouts of America. You have the Brownies. You have the Campfire Girls, none of which let boys participate in them. Where are the lawsuits forcing boys into those girls' organizations? You don't see that. They have to destroy anything that's special for boys. Young boys must be brought to inculcate into fashion so they learn respect for girls and for women and for their elders. And that is impossible when you put them in a sexually charged environment with young prepubescent girls and pubescent girls and boys together. That just doesn't work very well. Boys need time to be boys. Girls need time to be girls. Simple as that. But these people want to destroy everything, and they're succeeding. They're succeeding. Can one join the state guard as a volunteer when arriving in the States? I don't know what you mean as a volunteer, Pulteney. The state guard, the National Guard is part of the U.S. military. So the National Guard there's two types of reserve forces. There's the reserve, which are all federal, never under control of any governors, and then the National Guard. Each state has a National Guard, and they vary in size from 20 or 30,000 down to a few thousand. And the National Guard are members of the U.S. Department of Defense, part-time, and they work for the governor of the state in peacetime. So if there's a fire or there's a natural disaster, there's floods, there's hurricane relief, the governor can mobilize the National Guard, and the governor pays for their expenses, their salaries, and their supplies when they're mobilized. The President of the United States, for a variety of reasons, can federalize any National Guard troops at any time. He has the authority to do that, and then they fall directly under the Department of Defense. But in the meantime, when they're still under the governor's control, they have the same rank systems as the Army, as the Marines, as the Navy, as their active components, and as the reserve components, same rank structure. They have the same Uniform Code of Military Justice. They have the same training expectation obligations, so they can fall right in next to their active duty component when necessary. So I was in the active Army as a sergeant, left the Army, and enlisted in the Ohio National Guard. So I transferred to the Ohio National Guard and spent 2 years in the Ohio National Guard while I was at university in the late 1980s, and then got commissioned and came back in active duty. Now, I owed an obligation to the Ohio National Guard of 4 more years, but that enlistment was abrogated by my commission because my federal commission takes precedence. And so it's an interesting thing because some states have their own officer candidate schools, but your commission is only recognized by that state. But most officers actually have a federal commission. You get a federal commission by going to the active duty officer candidate school or by going through ROTC or an academy. So most of the officers in the National Guard who have a federal commission went through ROTC because that's a federal commission at a civilian university. And then instead of going to active duty, they go into the National Guard. So, yeah. But even the National Guard has full-time soldiers. A small number of full-time soldiers are responsible for running administration, logistics, and things like that. You have to have someone around all the time. And those are highly coveted positions because those people never have to leave their states. They live at home. They wear the uniforms every day. They're active duty. They get all the benefits of being active duty, but they're what's called AGR, Active Guard and Reserve. And those are like contracted tours. You don't get them forever. So, and they're based on rank. So anyway, yeah, a lot of people do that though. So my neighbor just around the street there is AGR, he and his wife, and they made a career out of it in the Pennsylvania National Guard. So they're both going to retire at 20 years and have a buttload of retirement benefits. Sense is being destroyed and made into something that just doesn't make sense. The 4 Tretkis, similar to Boy Scouts, also don't exist anymore. Okay. Buy silver, platinum, and crystallized osmium. Okay. Stop watching CNN after I went to the U.S. I love America. Okay. On TV, you see the police standing in line while these aliens are dancing and swearing at them. My question is, why don't the police arrest these people? It's a good question why they aren't arresting more people. I would be arresting thousands, and I would be charging them all with federal felony crimes. I don't know why they're not. It's a good question. Sometimes you don't do it just to not inflame the situation. You're welcome, Tom Pulteney. My pleasure. Not sure why you're thanking me. Courtney says he's in the Navy Reserve, much more prestigious than the National Guard. No. Nope. Not true. Yep. Anyway, so there you have it. Things are really slowed down the channel, guys. Really slowed down the channel. Subscriber growth has really dropped off a cliff here. Yep. So anyway. Maybe late in the conversation, how does one join the National Guard? Well, Marcel, someone earlier today said you now have to have permanent residence. You have to have a green card to join the military. That's news to me. As I said, things change. That wasn't the case, but apparently that is the case now. Someone checked on that earlier, so I haven't had a chance to follow up on that. Yeah, so apparently that is the case now. You have to have permanent residency. But as a refugee, you apply for a green card within the first year. So what are you waiting on? You get here, apply. Get your Social Security number, apply. As soon as you get it, then a few months down the road, you can enlist in the military as long as you qualify. Nita says, I'd love to hear your stories. It's very interesting. Maybe you could do all about the colonel. No, I already have enough people who falsely accuse me of having a big ego and this guy's so full of himself and this guy thinks he's hot shit. He thinks he's everybody's hero. I'm not. I never made any such claim. Thank you for your membership, Nicole. Or Nicolene, excuse me, Nicolene Zenda Yonka, thank you for that. No, it's so my viewers have begged me to do it, and I've done it I think 4 times in 5 years, and that is when I pull out my awards, my military awards, show some of the certificates, show some of the medals and ribbons. I did wear my shirt when we had Memorial Day because I came from an event. And so the parade, and I did a stream right from the parade rather than change because people wanted to see it. You could see my ribbons on, but I generally don't, I'm not ashamed of it, but it's just not something I do. As you notice behind me, do you see anything on my wall? Any decorations, Legion of Merit, commendation medals, awards from Liberia, from German government? No, nothing up there. Not that I'm ashamed of it, but it's just not something I do. So, yeah, if you start doing things all about yourself, then you get a bunch of hate wankers that accuse you of being full of yourself, and I'm not. Klaus says, in our eyes, you are here. Well, thank you for that, Klaus. I've been truly humbled. Some people have called me the 21st century Emily Hobhouse. Wow, that's a truly humbling statement. I mean, Emily Hobhouse is the person who exposed the British concentration camps in which they murdered and killed off Afrikaner women and children and the elderly, as well as their attenders and farm workers who were Basutu and Swana. Law enforcement seems so kind and professional. I don't understand. They get treated like crap because propaganda in this country and people believe stupid things. Heidi says, you are a hero. Thank you. Pull those awards out whenever you want. It's something to be proud of. Well, Amanda, it's just something I don't do because, it's look, there are a lot of people with penis envy, a lot of people who've accomplished nothing in their life or very little in their life, and they like to tear down people who have talent and people of accomplishment. And it's good to be humble. I mean, I think humility is a good thing. So, it's, but there are a lot of truly nasty people out there. We had someone that used to make all these false claims about me, spread rumors about me. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. You had that jackass up there who lives in the garden route and then goes and hangs around in Amsterdam. I guess when he's looking for a little schwanz every now and then. But that guy lied about me, called me a white supremacist and a Klan supporter and all this other stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. These people have serious envy because they're losers and have accomplished nothing in life. So anyway, really sad, but it's a true story. Life is hard. It's even harder if you're stupid. That is true. That is true. There'll always be nasties no matter what you say or do. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that, Ann. Mornay, okay, I saw your email, but I don't understand why this is your last day. I'm still trying to figure that out. Are you out of money for airtime or something? Trump was asked by the media what crime Newsom committed when Trump said he should be arrested. Yes, harboring and protecting criminals is a crime, but it's hard to prove. I think Gavin Newsom just needs to be arrested so somebody stick a sock in his mouth and shut him up. Yeah, JJ Pretorius, I don't disagree with you, but look, people, it's just, it really is. Well, here, I'll show you an award. You want to see an award? You guys want to see an award? Wow, what's going on with your internet, Shawnee? Do you guys want to see an award? I'll show you an award right now. Actually, one I'm kind of proud of. I'm not proud of the citation because the citation doesn't read what I actually did. Someone else got the citation because someone took my officer evaluation and gave the write-up for the award they gave to someone else. Okay, hang on. Some of you have seen this before. So here's the box, and what's the box? Beekeeping, honey, and what's in the box? Well, here you go. Okay, so this is an award, and I even have citation. I don't even know where the citation is. I think it's downstairs. I need to frame it probably. I've never done that. It's too big to scan. The Distinguished Service Order Gold from the Ministry of Defense. Okay, this is number 23. Number 23. In the history of Liberia, the 1840 something it was founded, 180 years history of Liberia, only 23 of these awards have been handed out. And frankly, I should have got mine much sooner, but I didn't. So this is the Distinguished Medal from the government of Liberia. This is for my efforts at rebuilding the Armed Forces Library after the 13-year Civil War. Yep, so it's pretty cool. It's not high quality, but I mean, it's Liberia. I wouldn't expect it to be high quality. But yeah, so pretty cool. Got the palm tree with a bow and arrow on there and a star on it for gold. The ribbon, yeah. So if I was in the library and military, I could wear that on my uniform. But nobody in the library and military has this decoration, actually. I think none have been awarded. But that's the Distinguished Service Order, gold from the government of Liberia. Pretty cool. It was very kind of them. The only reason I got it is that the officers that made sure it happened were amongst the original officers that joined the military that I trained when we first started. And they never forgot me for what I did for building the military and for restoring order to what was a disaster when I arrived. And so they made sure I got this award. Unfortunately, the citation doesn't read correctly, but that's fine. So you can see I keep it in a box. And as I said, the certificate I think is downstairs. Marcel, thank you for your membership. That's something to be proud of and should be shown, not hidden. Well, thank you, Ann's Place. I appreciate that. Wow, it is nice. It was, Gianna, and so what happened is I went to Liberia in 2018, I think it was, with the War College to do a mission over there. And I was over there, and word got out that Colonel Wyatt was back. By then, I was a full colonel. I'd been a major and lieutenant colonel. I was in Liberia a decade prior. And people were like, Colonel Wyatt's here, Colonel Wyatt's here. And word spread like wildfire. People were calling me up, looking for me, coming to the hotel, hunting me down the streets, coming to meetings. I went to the barracks, and they were like, oh, it's a colonel. I'll run it over, want to take photos with me. Everything. It was really cool, very heartwarming. But I was asked to go see the chief of staff, who had been a lieutenant now. He was a one-star general. And he greeted me warmly along, and he brought a bunch of the original cohort of officers of the original 9. There was like 5 or 6 of them there. And it was really cool. And while I was there, they had produced a magazine for the Army, and I'm reading the magazine, and there was an award for my predecessor. And I looked at it, and I read it, and the citation read exactly like my evaluation. Because someone had taken the text, I'm not blaming him, he's a pretty good guy. Someone had taken the text and lifted it from my evaluation and given it to the government librarian, and they cited. And they said that he had organized the Army and activated 13 companies and raised it from 102 to 2,000. I'm like, wait a second. Also put the dates of my evaluation. He wasn't even in Liberia during those dates. I'm not saying the gentleman didn't deserve an award, because he did a lot of work afterwards as a civilian working for the librarians. He deserved an award, but not for what I did. But his award read for what I did. And so I saw that, and they said, yeah, he got that award. And I said, yeah, I never got something like that. And the guy said, I know Colonel White. And then we had the first librarian student that came here, Lieutenant Colonel Murphy, whom I knew as a young recruit, as enlisted when I was over there, became an officer later on. And Murphy was over here as a student for a full year before I retired. And Murphy said, no, they're working on an award for you. And next thing I know, it eventually came in the mail. And I actually got it here. I was really impressed. So, but I just wish the write-up had been correct. Song for the Wyatt Army. What song is for the Wyatt Army? No, Gavin Newsom wants to be president. That's why he's acting the way he is. Something to be proud of. Colonel, thank you. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so anyway. Well, we're up to 252 people now and 1,000 views. A little bit better. But I guess it's because it's later in the morning now. It's after 6 a.m. in South Africa time. So yeah, I picked up something today, which is nice. Will it reach this far? Let's see. No, it won't go that far. So I got myself a little hub, a USB 3 hub, so I can plug in multiple things to my computer because I just had the one USB 3 connection. It's annoying because I have to unplug, plug, unplug, plug, constantly do stuff. Now I can just plug it in. I've got 4 plugs now, so I'm using that. So that works out a lot better. Yeah, people slowly wake up in the cold there. Another day has arrived. It's great to see your medals, Chris. You own... Okay, thank you. Yeah, those are mums, aren't they? They've been there for like 2 weeks. They're doing very well. Yeah, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I love, of course, purple is my favorite color. I love purple. It's beautiful stuff. Used to be green, but after 30 years in the Army, green is my favorite color. Yeah, definitely plug and play there, Delana. Definitely plug and play. So, yeah, anyway. Now, here's something I want to get for a long time. So, Courtney gave $2. Our librarians descended from American slaves. Some are descended from free blacks, and others are descended from those who were caught on slave ships and interdicted and dropped in Monrovia, dropped on the shore. So the Brits did anti-slaving patrol off the coast of West Africa for decades to stop the slave trade, and they would capture slaves and release them in Monrovia and in Freetown, hence the name Freetown in Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone is Portuguese. It's Lion Mountain, Sierra Leone. But Freetown is the name of the capital there, and because that's where people were freed. And so there are a whole mix of people from all over because they were taken from all over West Africa and Central Africa and interdicted. In Monrovia, there's a part of town called Congo Town because the people that were dropped there that were slaves headed to to Brazil were from the Congo. So this is something I'm trying to get for a long time. Now they changed it. It used to be a bronze color, but they've changed this for like 6 years. Every time I go to the clothing, to the exchange at Carlisle Barracks, I would always pop in and try to buy one of these just to have one, just because I want it, because making full colonel is a big deal, or captain in the Navy. It really is. But I've never had one. So I went the other day and actually had it, but they've changed it to silver now, and this is what the coin is. It's got an eagle on it. It says 06 Colonel. You can put your name on the back if you want, get it etched on there. But yeah, so black and silver, which is pretty cool. Just a commander's coin. I've always wanted one. So they're like $8 or $9. So I got one finally. It took forever. Anyway. Good morning, Road Captain Kev. How did you go to the mainland of Freetown? I never took hovercraft to mainland. Fred, I drove from Monrovia up to Sierra Leone. I crossed the river, the Mono River, and took the ferry across. This is a ferry where you get on the ferry, it's just like a float, and they pull across on the cable. My car was on there. They pulled across, and you get to the other side and go through the bush. And yeah, I drove to Freetown that way. So I didn't have to worry about hovercrafts or getting from one place to another. Yep. Oh, yes, Yana, that's a long book. I didn't get very far. I stopped and started reading something else. I have this habit of reading 4 or 5 books simultaneously. This morning, I spent about an hour working on, let me see if I can find it. I started working on an article I'm writing. So let me just, you guys want to hear the draft of my article? Is anybody interested in that? Does that bore everybody, or can I do that? I have to download it, though, because I sent it by email to myself. Where the heck is my email at? I got to find my email. Where are you hiding at? Well, that's not where it's at, but I'm going to find it there. So I'll go home, and I'll go to the send folder. Okay. Actually, it went to that other account, so I can do it. Whoa, what is that? Well, something's removed. What is that? Huh? Oh, that's the sent folder. I'm in my sent folder. I'm like, something didn't make sense. Something was in my sent folder. I was like, wait, that didn't make any sense. All right, let me look. It's in the other account. It should be there. That's the account where I got chewed out by somebody. So, hang on a second. Where's the one? I sent that to myself. That should have been here. Oh, that's a different account. I just realized that I sent it to a different account. Silly me. Too many Gmail accounts. So I got to come back here to the sent folder and pull it up that way. Okay. There it is. Okay. Here's the attachment. Download it. All right. Do you guys want to hear this? I mean, it's just a draft. If you want to hear it, if you want. I don't want to bore you, but I think you'll find it interesting. So enable editing. Okay. File, save as, browse, documents. I don't want there. I want it documents. That's where I want. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right. So yes, read it. Okay. You're looking a bit tired. I'm a little tired. Yeah, it's been a long day. Okay. Oh, good. You're still writing. Yeah, I am. But I've got 3 articles and 2 that I didn't finish earlier. So this is a rough draft. I mean, I haven't done spell checks on this. Okay. I've changed a few words because they're redundant. But anyway, here we go. It's difficult to focus on all the truly embarrassing moments for President Ramaphosa and his confused, unable to read the room team that went to the Oval Office to meet with President Trump in May 2025. Contrary to the opinion of Jacob Zuma, Julius Malema, and a host of other malcontents and legacy South African media, the trip was indeed necessary. South Africa has repeatedly insulted and acted against the interests of the United States, its friends, partners, and allies for well over 2 decades. On the rare occasion when a South African politician or journalist is willing to admit as much, the typical subordinate clause of the response is, South Africa is a sovereign state. While that is true, the United States is also a sovereign state, one that predates South Africa by at least 124 years. Contrary to the unsubstantiated myths spread like sea salt on every meal, Trump does not get his marching orders from Elon Musk and did not issue his executive order because Musk influences him. Nearly 20 federal intelligence agencies daily produce prescient products for the President of the United States. He does not rely upon open source or Elon Musk to read conclusions or to stay informed. Trump issued his executive order not in response to an ongoing white genocide, but rather to get out in front to avoid one. The issues that have angered Washington long predate Trump, going all the way back to the Rome Statute and the refusal of Pretoria to sign an Article 98 waiver to protect U.S. troops. The concerns and issues are long-standing and not trivial. Despite gifting South Africa nearly $500 million a year for decades, arresting the death and misery toll of HIV, granting Pretoria duty-free access with no reciprocity for 25 years, giving South Africa's Aspen Pharma hundreds of millions of dollars to produce vaccines, and sponsoring World Bank, IMF, and African Development Bank loans and grants, South Africa has been a very ungrateful and disrespectful recipient. The ANC has acted arrogantly and dismissively of their largest donor and most important trading partner. Trump has already ended 10 billion rand in gifts that have crippled HIV surveillance programs, left many with no antiretrovirals, and in large measure has stopped all serious medical and scientific research at South Africa's captured universities. After announcing reciprocal tariffs on most countries around the world, including a 31% tariff for South Africa, President Trump then paused the high rates for 90 days to give countries a chance to negotiate bilateral trade deals with Washington. Rather than act as Japan and South Africa did, sending high-level trade representatives to meet with American officials only hours after the trade announcement, South Africa never sent anyone. After Pretoria's shameful former ambassador Rasool was sent packing, South Africa did not send a new ambassador. Ramaphosa did announce Mcebisi Jonas as a special envoy, but as of this writing, June 9, 2025, he has yet to depart Cape Town for Washington. With less than 3 weeks remaining to negotiate lower tariffs on South African exports, Ramaphosa has still not sent anyone to negotiate with Trump's administration. Hence the need for Cyril's trip. But Ramaphosa and his crew cannot read the room. They thought they would go to the States and set Trump right, choosing the paths of denial, obfuscation, even lecturing the President of the United States in the Oval Office. What a sad spectacle and further evidence that South Africa has dismal, poorly informed leaders. The ANC's arrogance and cheek led a group of bipartisan U.S. lawmakers to introduce a bill in the House of Representatives in February 2024 during the Biden administration. From the outset, when President Trump issued his executive order on the 7th of February 2025, South African politicians and media falsely claimed that he was misinformed about what was occurring in South Africa. When that lie failed to resonate properly, they repeated the sovereignty line. Then came the flat-out denials and eventual attacks on Trump for spreading misinformation about a white genocide. Naturally, none of that is true. The effort to obscure reality did not fool objective thinkers, but it sure muddied the waters very successfully. And that's where I'm at right now. So it's something I started this morning. I sat down, and that is stream of consciousness thought, what I just wrote there. It's actually not bad. It needs a little bit of work, but that's straight off my top of my head right there. So, you guys like it, dislike it? What do you think? Spot on, says Delana. They have no form of shame. Yep. Exactly, Ann's place. They didn't send anyone because they don't understand what's going on. And South Africa in 3 weeks will be facing a 31% tariff, and your trade with America will evaporate overnight. Overnight. Bernadette Conaway says, good morning. Tom says, awesome work. Okay, and Buster, I've read your comment in previous streams, and I've read it 5 times tonight. I'm not going to keep reading your elections and IQ tests. Why do you keep putting the same text in there? Okay, you guys seem to like it. Okay. It will go to the Daily Friend. I'm a published author on the Daily Friend, in case you guys don't know that. So let me go to the Daily Friend. Daily Friend. Okay. There you go. Daily Friend. Here you go. That's what it looks like. You go to the Daily Friend. Okay. So January is the last one I did. Donald Trump's consequential first day. Autocrats, not Democrats. America in crisis from July of last year. Friend or foe? May of last year. Yeah, so I wrote that last year. So friend or foe, that's in May of last year, before Trump was ever president. Okay? So I said, whose side is South Africa on? Today's South African national provincial election is helping focus attention on its relationship with Washington. Bilateral support to reconsider the United States diplomatic relationship with South Africa suddenly surfaced during election year in both countries. I wrote this in May 29th last year. Yet they're trying to say it's all about Trump misunderstanding. What happens to the relationship after the South African election, or for that matter, after the U.S. general election on November 5th? Will Congress seek to sanction South Africa for its perceived anti-Western, anti-U.S., anti-democratic leanings? Or will the status quo continue regardless of who occupies the White House or which political party controls Congress? Throughout much of the Cold War, South Africa managed to maintain ties with Western powers primarily as a perceived anti-communist ally and a strategic partner owing to its mineral resource and geographic location. But those relations became strained as popular support rose to combat the apartheid system of separate development that resulted in racial discrimination. There were also tensions due to South Africa's military engagement against a loose coalition of Southern African countries committed to ending apartheid and white minority rule in South Africa and Rhodesia, collectively known as the Frontline States. The ANC came to power 3 decades ago amid a wave of global support, especially from Western democracies who hailed the end of apartheid. Unlike the early leadership of Nelson Mandela, with some initial successes in redressing historical disparities and making economic progress, South Africa appeared to all who cared as a golden child on the global stage, supported almost unequivocally by Western democracies. However, warning signs began to emerge in 2008, 14 years into ANC rule, when President Thabo Mbeki, a technocrat, was deposed in what effectively amounted to a palace coup in Polokwane and was replaced by Jacob Zuma as president of the ANC and, by extension, South Africa. Anyway, and I go on and on here, so anyway. Yep. Anyway. Chris Wyatt, Colonel retired. Chris Wyatt is a retired U.S. Army military intelligence officer and foreign area officer of Sub-Saharan Africa and past director of African Studies, U.S. Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Previously senior military advisor of the U.S. mission to the African Union. Colonel Wyatt has extensive experience across Africa with assignments in Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Nigeria, Mauritania, Uganda, Ethiopia. His tours in Africa include duties as senior defense representative, security assistance officer, and attaché assignments. There you go. So anyway, so that's that. That's that, folks. What do you think? What do you think? Anyway, I'll be accused of being arrogant and full of myself for simply stating facts. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, people. Kathleen says, very interesting. I think it's good so far. Cupcake is probably very arrogantly thinking, keep your America, we'll keep our South Africa. Yeah. All right, Varoshka, have a good day. Thank you. I'll be hitting the rack here shortly myself. Plethora of journals and articles. Hey, Mike. Yeah, well, I'm just 3 on the Daily Friend, but this one will be for the Daily Friend. I'll work on it again in the morning. Tomorrow I'm being interviewed by Isak from Newspod. He wants to talk about Trump and Ramaphosa, I think. So that's tomorrow. Sedgefield's back. Yeah, they have the audacity to mention sovereign wealth fund. What sovereign wealth fund? The so-called black tax that you want to put that could be a sovereign wealth fund, but it has to go to everybody, not just black folks. I don't get paid at all for that, Shawnee. I've never been paid for any articles that I've published. Books, I haven't been paid. I do it with the kindness of my heart and for bona fides. Yep. I've been an editor for professional journals. In fact, if you go to my LinkedIn page, let's see what my LinkedIn page says. So I'm actually involved with a lot of things right now. So if I go over here, let me get rid of that messaging. I don't want to see that. So here's my LinkedIn page. Okay, so activity experience. Here you go. Anchor with a Truth Report, principal and CEO of the Indaba Africa Group, radio host, Common Sense Conservatives for over 4 years, television presenter, journalist, and commentator, senior fellow at Proceeding Consulting. Okay. Advisor of the Africa Business Portal for 7 years and 6 months. And yeah, I wonder if that's still a good link. Let me see. It doesn't look like it's there anymore. Article's missing. Anyway, reviewer for the Air Force Journal of European, Middle Eastern, African Affairs. I was a reviewer for that. An editor. Colonel, U.S. Army War College, Director of African Studies. Foreign Area Officer. Colonel, Office of Chief of Security Cooperation, Uganda. Senior Foreign Area Officer, U.S. Africa Command. Chief of Office of Security Cooperation, Mauritania. Where is my Ethiopia thing on here? That's not on here. For some reason, that doesn't show up here. I don't know why. I have to fix that and put that on here. So it doesn't show up for some reason. I have to go put it in there. I don't have that in here, Ethiopia, for some reason. Niger. Yeah. So this is me in 2011 in Maseru. There's me on the left-hand side there. Deputy Prime Minister Lesotho Lekgogo Wright, Acting Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, meets on October 26, 2011 with U.S. Africa Command's Civilian Deputy Ambassador Anthony Holmes, as well as Ambassador Michael Bond, U.S. Ambassador Lesotho, and Lieutenant Colonel William Chris Wyatt, U.S. Africa Command's Regional Engagement Division. Yep. That's in Maseru, Lesotho. Oh, there it is. That's Ethiopia right there. So here I am in Ethiopia. That's speaking at the Peace and Security Sector Conference in 2015. And then this is with Major General Bolton, who was the director of NASA, and his wife at the embassy in Ethiopia. He was a NASA director. He came over there. And this was Remembrance Day with the attaché, Laura Varhola, and myself. That's in Addis Ababa at the Commonwealth Cemetery with our ambassador. Yep. No, Buster B, I know some they have a stupidity problem, but you keep posting the same thing over and over again. Please don't keep posting the same thing. People got it. Ignore the jealousy of some that's beneath you. You're a good guy who's an interesting life so far. Many of those nasties would give anything. Yep. Isaac in his Free State English. Yeah, but he's Free State, but he lives in Nullspruit. Bernadette says, thank you for all your support and hard work. You're welcome. Okay. Stephen Nordkia, hello to you. Yeah, well, that's Common Sense Conservatives. It's actually been more than 4 years. It's 4 years and 1 month, but we were doing it on YouTube and Facebook before we went on the radio. I think that's the date we went on the radio. Yeah, we've got over 4 years. We've had 5 years now that we've been doing it, if I'm not mistaken. Cyber Crimes Act. Yeah, Gene, I've seen that, and it's been misused to prosecute a guy. Blessed with the gift of gab, Chris. Well spoken and a lot about it. Thank you, Ingrid. I don't know that it helped me a lot in the club when I was a young man, the gift of gab. Apologies for asking here on your channel. Is it possible? Can I please send me Chris Ayler's contact number? Did I not send that to you? He did say I could send it to people. Is that about PTSD? Yeah, I sent that to someone else earlier. I thought I sent it to you as well. So I'll do that now. I got Chris's permission to send it to you. So, Mornay, let me look and see if you've sent me an email to that effect. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, check your email. Chris Ayler's number's there. No need to apologize, Morning. Now I understand what's going on. Greetings from Durban. An absolute disgrace from the treatment of Israeli runners. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I didn't see it reported in any of the media in South Africa. I understand that Ronaldo did a video on it, so. Yeah, so let me see if I can do a search on this. So, comrades. South African Jewish board. Yeah, Ronaldo did it. Times Live. Okay, it's anti-Israeli protest comrades. Okay, there's a number of things here. I'll probably do a video on it. South African Jewish Board of Deputies condemns the scenes of anti-Israeli protesters tracking and harassing Israeli athletes during the Comrades Marathon. Equally dismayed, ANC Youth League in KwaZulu-Natal statement calling for the exclusion of Israeli athletes, identified by name and race number to facilitate target harassment, form of doxing which is reprehensible. The Comrades Marathon named to honor the camaraderie and unity among diverse participants embodies Yep. Wow. EFF protests Israeli participation in comrades. Members of Red Berets carrying placards reading "Stop the Genocide" stage of protest. Yeah, the action is criminal. The Youth League needs to be punished for that. Politics Web, there's a story here. It's just a reprint of that. So let's see what's going on here. So.
Free Palestine, go home, go home. What you doing here, running in our race? We anti-apartheid, go home, go home. Free Palestine, Israel's not welcome. Flip off Israel, go home, go home. Down with Israel, down. Down with Israel, down. Go home, this is not your land. Go home. Palestine will be free.
It's not your land either, jackass. Get the hell out of South Africa. Listen to that frickin' accent. You're not from South Africa either. Scumbags. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Doxing people. These people need to be in jail. I guarantee you, if a white politician had doxed black runners, they'd be arrested tonight. I guarantee it. At least the cop is protecting him.
Go home. Your brother is nursing children in Gaza. Go home. Your brother Tuvia.
I tell you what, you're lucky I was at the rudder because I would have walked over and boom, PK'd her right in the head. Oh man, you don't, homie, don't play that. Don't. Oh man. Oh my God.
Who is murdering children in Gaza? Palestine.
The only problem I had with was the SAPs. The SAPs are not arresting these people. They're not allowed to enter the race course. It's illegal to enter the race course. It's endangering public safety. All of them should have been arrested and stop tolerating this. I saw an article, not sure if it's true, that WHO wants countries to sign a decree that can make countries force the population to take jabs. Yeah, that's one reason why the United States withdrew from the World Health Organization. Disgrace. Hope they get taken to court. They won't be. Nothing will happen to them because they're racist. And you can be a racist against Jews and white people. What's the title of your Wednesday show? It's The Common Sense Conservatives. I'm a WSMN. You can catch it on my YouTube channel now. I put it on here. It's actually getting some views. Let me take a look and see. Content. I used to put it on the other channel, but it wasn't getting any views over there. So we get about 50 or 75 people tuning in for it here at night. So that would be, today's the 10th, 11th, be about the 4th. Go back to about the 4th. Where's it at? It's not here on the 4th. Where is it at? Oh, that's videos. I need to do it live. Sorry. There it is. Common Sense Care. I had 1,200 people watch it last week. Not a lot. That might be what's hurting my viewership here, too. The one before that would have been, one of them had pretty good viewership. 2,000 on the 28th. Maybe it's time to put it back on the other channel. Had 9,000 the first time, May 21st. So I thought I could keep it on here, but nobody's watching it. So what's the point? It draws down. If you get low view totals on a video, it pushes down it goes against the algorithm. So you got to have good videos. And I haven't had 100,000 video in over a week now. So that's dragging down my channel. So 28,000 and 44,000 on the 6th, which is the best one I've had in a while. 25,000. My last 100,000 view video was on the 31st of May. So almost 2 weeks since I've had 100,000 view. But I had 2 within 2 days then. So yeah, and that's one reason why I'm getting fewer subscribers. Please do a video on the action of the ANC. I will. We saw and liked Ronaldo's video. The more the merrier. No, I will, Natasha. I will. I'll do it without watching Ronaldo's video because I don't want to be influenced by his thing. I prefer to do that. Oh, I like chili bites. How is advocating for Palestine not advocating for apartheid? Exactly, Buster. That's exactly what it is. The only exercise the SAPs got, they'll be sick for a week. At least they intervened and kept people from messing with this. The son is 21. Okay. All right. So, Mornay, you have Chris Ayler's number now. If Chris can do something to help you there. Okay. Yeah, EFF vehicles paraded with Palestinian flags during the comrades. These are sick people. You made your bed, showered, made a coffee to start your day, and you're not in bed. No, I'm not in bed yet. I'm still up. It's time to go, though. It is time to hit the rack, folks. All right, so thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. A small audience tonight. Should I even bother with these morning shows? Do you guys enjoy these? I mean, these are bigger audience than I had on my regular show, so I can't complain, but I'm just saying, we were getting much bigger audiences, 400 and getting 5,000 or 10,000 views. Now we're down to 1,000, 2,000 views and 200 or 300 people max. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And Wesley says, keep it up. All right, guys, I'm going to go to bed now. And I've got an interview to do in the morning plus a video to produce. And I've got to finish editing the video that I was working on tonight and publish that on the other channel. So I'm working on that. And then I'll hit the rack. All righty. Good night, everybody. Cheers. Thank you very much.